you know, you know. Sportster S today, guys. This is the 2021 Harley-Davidson Sportster S with the mid controls. Kind of wishing that I had picked up the one with front controls, because this version has mid controls, and my knees are up a little higher, and I think either way, I don't know how much of a difference it would make, and I don't mind having my knees up for a sportier bike like this. I think it's okay to have the knees up higher. I'm guessing the lean angle might be a little bit better with having the mid controls like this, but either way, we're gonna get on it. So guys, welcome to the Harley-Davidson 2021 Sportster S. I wanted to ride this bike at the IMS in Northern California, but because it was like it had just been announced, like seriously, like a week before, and so it wasn't available. A few months later here in November, and here we are. Oh, so it's like a really smooth shifting here on the Sportster S. We're just gonna follow these guys because I'm gonna guess that they know what they're doing. I'm gonna pop this baby right into sport mode, and we're gonna start off that way. You know, just getting out the gate in the slow speed maneuvering in standard mode, road mode, I guess, which is what I'm guessing it is. It was very nice, you know, linear power, not super torquey. I'm guessing in sport mode, because technically Harley is calling this like a sport bike. It's not even in the same category with the Sportsters, which, you know, are technically cruisers. I mean, this bike, for all intents and purposes, is a cruiser too. We're looking at like 120 plus horsepower, max horsepower. I think around 100 pound-feet of max torque. And again, I'll have these numbers for you as always on the screen so we can be super accurate. But yeah, not super torquey here in sport mode. Of course, when we get a chance to get on it, we will and test out what this bike can do. But yeah, this bike weighs in lighter than your standard Sportster, around 500 pounds. And the seat height is pretty low. I think it's around 30 inches. So for a guy like me at 5'6" and about a 30-inch inseam, this bike fits me very nicely. You know, if I move up here in the seat, I can sit upright pretty well. But if I scoot back a little bit, I got my knees tucked in just slightly as I'm hugging the tank with my knees here. I can lean forward a bit and feel a little more aggressive as I ride. This bike has the all-new Harley-Davidson 1250, and they call it the 1250T Revolution engine. I'm guessing they've just kind of tuned it a little differently than they did than they have the like the Pan Am, which has the same engine, and it does feel different. I will say that. I rode the Pan America, and this even though it shares the same engine, this does not have the same feel as you ride it. Oh, well, we'll just stick with this guy because he's riding a Harley and he's on an unguided tour too. But I like that about the Harley's demo rides. I'll put a link right up here on your screen, because I have some tips for you if you're going out to ride demo rides at the International Motorcycle Show. There's some specific things you want to do to get out here on the bikes that you want to ride, to be sure that you can ride the bikes that you want to ride. And so I'll have a link for that for you up there on the screen. One of my biggest concerns about the Sportster S. Woo! All right. Yeah, okay, sport mode. That is fun. So one of my biggest concerns about the Sportster S was having this exhaust kind of go right underneath your seat, right next to your leg. This bike was ridden before me, and when I got on it, I could feel the exhaust already, but it wasn't overwhelming. So as we ride here, I'll give you guys an idea. I'll let you know how that is. That was probably my biggest concern when seeing the design on this motorcycle, was that exhaust. And so far, so good. You know, we just got started, so we'll see. We've got a lot of safety features here on this bike. We've got ABS standard, cornering ABS at that. We've got cornering traction control, RDRS, which is the Harley's reflexive defensive riding system. which I'm sure all that cornering ABS and cornering traction control is part of. Yeah, see, I'm resting my leg literally right on this exhaust heat shield, and it doesn't feel, actually didn't feel, I mean, it feels warm, but it doesn't feel hot at all, so we'll keep track of that. So lots of safety features baked into this motorcycle, and we will get to all of that as we go. Oh, we're supposed to turn right here. That guy's on a Harley, he's not turning right. Maybe he missed it. So again, we're in sport mode here. We're going to check to see it does not have auto canceling turn signals. There's not a distinct click here when I cancel it. It's kind of spongy feeling on the turn signal. So I mean, just to let you know how that feels. If you're looking for like a distinctive click to turn off your turn signals, it's not there. Nice smooth ride, and I don't know if I think I already mentioned it, maybe I interrupted myself, but the shifting is really nice, really smooth. And it's not like your old Harley Sportster or, you know, Dyna clunk. And you know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know, like I said before. Nice smooth shifting on this motorcycle. And I'll put the transmission. It's a 6-speed transmission. And again, a lot of these things are new to Harley riders who are so used to like a bare bones motorcycle with not a lot of features. We got this 4-inch LCD TFT display that's super clear here. Even with the sun beating down on it. Oh my gosh, yeah, this is just a nice overall ride. You're gonna have both preload and adjustable compression adjustability for your shocks, both in the front and the rear. And so again, these are all kinds of things that I don't think Harley riders are used to having on a motorcycle. And so it's nice to have these features. You know, this bike, I think, when you're looking at price point wise from a regular Sportster to a Sportster S, you're not even looking at the same motorcycle, even though it shares the same name. So you're getting so much more. You've got lots of different, like with typical with Harley, you got lots of options to customize this motorcycle. You know, not a ton of colors available right now, but you know, if you know what you're doing, you're gonna go out and get a nice custom paint job if that's what you want to do. But lots of different options here for grips and various other things. You know, your foot pegs, exhaust, all of these things are going to have different options for you to choose from to customize your Harley Sportster S. Now these bar end mirrors, I don't know if these are standard, but the circular mirror here, you can see plenty out of, and you know what I love about the bar end mirrors is that they get your shoulders out of the way. So you know, even though you might have a mirror on a typical Harley that's above here and larger, you know, your shoulder's going to block some of that. I was halfway expecting Iron Man to be sitting up in there. That's kind of iconic. Let's talk about the controls, because there are a lot of controls here. This is something that's not typical of your standard Harley-Davidson. Up at the very top here, you've got your lights to go to regular, to high beam, and obviously to flash. You've got cruise control on this motorcycle. I don't know if that's standard. If it is, I'll put it down here, but if it's an option, I'll do that as well. You got your cruise control settings here, turning on and off. Heated grips, and then your trip toggle. And then obviously for your infotainment system, you've got all kinds of options here. This is going to slide you through the windows, and then it takes you back to home. Again, it's saying that settings are locked while you're in motion, which is a nice safety feature, something I probably shouldn't be doing as I ride, but just showing you guys what we've got. And then the horn and left and right blinker all on one side, which is different from a typical Harley, because typically Harley's got your turn signals on both handlebars. On the right here, this is a different thing for Harley-Davidson, again, with the controls. To start the motorcycle, you switch the bike to on with this little rocker switch, not a rocker switch, this little circular switch here, and then you hold the button down for the bike to start. You got your hazards also here on the right, and then your ride mode changes, which you have 3 ride modes, and also a custom ride mode where you can turn on and off, I'm guessing, like your traction control and your ABS. You can make a ride mode all on your own. You've got volume controls for your Bluetooth on the right also. And then again, you can toggle traction control on and off, it looks like down there. And then your Bluetooth also settings that you can adjust right below there. As we've ridden here for just a little bit now, just to let you know, this bike, it feels so nice. I've been excited to ride this bike, and it's not disappointing. The seat here, it feels kind of like if you've ridden the Roadster, which had kind of a gel feeling seat. That's the kind of seat that is on this bike. And the nice thing about this is it's got a nice grippy material. It's not made out of like your standard leather, like a standard old school Harley leather seat, where, you know, if you give it a good go, you're gonna slide back in the seat. That's not how this seat is. Alright, getting into some turns here. Maybe we'll slow down and let these guys get ahead. To let this car also get out of the way. But the seat is nice. It feels nice. It's made out of a good material here, so you're not going to slide back. And it is a solo saddle, so I think you'll probably have an option. Oh, yeah, that feels really good there in the turn. Whew. Lean angle, I think, is around 34 degrees. Which is better than a typical, like, your Iron Sportster. It's probably more similar to like your Fat Bob or the old Roadster, the 1200. I'll have the lean angle here on the screen for you, though, just to be specific. But yeah, no, this feels like you can really lean into a turn. We've been riding here probably, I'm guessing, for around 15 minutes. And there's almost no like noticeable heat coming from the exhaust. That to me is impressive. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. All right. Yeah, sport mode, legit. That was like white knuckling, hold on to your butts and just go. Wow, that was really nice. Not something I could say I've ever experienced on a Harley. You know, I give it a good twist on like even like the 114 Fat Bob, and it did not feel like that. So yeah, sport mode. Whew. I like a lot. Oh, looks like we turn on the high beams there. So another thing that's nice that comes standard on the Sportster S that I'm not used to seeing on a Harley standard is all LED lighting. So yeah, I mean, the headlights here, to me, I'm not going to say it looks chintzy or cheap, but it doesn't look, I mean, obviously I'll have a video here for you so you can actually get a better look at it. But the headlights to me don't look as nice as like your Fat Bob. You know how it has a similar looking, like the bar LED headlight, like the Fat Bob does? The fit and finish on it feels and looks more plasticky. It looks nice from a distance, but I think when you get up on it, to me, I was kind of like, I was expecting a little bit more out of that. So that's just something that I noticed. But all in all, you know, I've got my knees up here against the tank. I don't know if you can. What kind of sucks is that there's a nice Harley badging here on the tank. So when I hug the tank with my knees, it does feel a little bit like after a while I'm going to be rubbing off on here. So just something to think about, because I can grip this tank with my knees. That maybe if I was riding with the forward controls here, my knee ducks underneath the tank. So maybe that's something that you want to consider. Even though it's nice as a riding position here with your knees tucked, that having the forward controls probably will keep the tank's finish looking nicer for longer. Definitely a different feel to this one. And we talk about the what is it called, the clamshell, kind of like V-rod kind of positioning on the bike. You got your feet forward on the forward controls, and a little bit of a lean forward as well. And so it's just a different feel. And I wanted to give it a try because I also wanted to let you guys know which I prefer, which one feels better to me, and just give you a well-rounded opinion as to how this bike feels. So yeah, again, I don't know if I mentioned this yesterday when I talked about the Sportster S, but man, this bike is so fun to ride, and it is really, I would say, surprisingly, unexpectedly sporty. I mean, it is just a freaking ton of fun. As yeah, like so. I mean, there you have it. So the clutch on this one's a little bit different. I didn't notice this yesterday. I did not notice this yesterday, but it lets out kind of late. So again, this is maybe just something that isn't standard, or something that you can change. It's something that you can change, but on this mod, or on this at least this bike, the clutch lets out a little bit later. Just an FYI. All right. So, I mean, the guys out here running the event said you should try the forward controls if you've ridden the one with the mid controls. It's a whole different feel. They said they like it better. What I will say is that my legs are going underneath the tank here instead of right up against it, as it did with the mid controls. And as I suspected, you know, if you're they said the fit and finish on this bike is really nice, so you were never going to, you know, end up having any effect on the paint job by rubbing up on the tank with your knees. But I mean, I've seen enough bikes, Harleys at that, with a nice, you know, Harley's does boast a nice fit and finish, and in my experience they do have that. But what I have seen is that I do see the marks and the evidence on the tank of the finish being being affected by your legs rubbing up against the tank. So having them underneath here is something that you might want to think of if you're talking about long-term ownership, and keeping that nice shine, that nice finish here on your Sportster S. I'm at 5'6" with the 30-inch inseam, and so just to give you an idea, if you're maybe a little bit taller, maybe your knees are going to rub up against the tank considerably, but not for me, and not on this model. Again, got my legs down here against the tank. Gotta let that clutch out late, man. And no heat at all. Still, just warm. So again, just reiterating the fact that that's taken care of. And again, if I've said it too much, it's because it was something that was really concerning to me. I don't know if I talked about this in the last one, and if I did, I'll cut this out of the video. But this display here is really clear. The only thing I would say, just because of how you're riding on this bike, and if you were any taller than me, you're going to be sitting up even higher, is that I have to dip my head a little bit to see this display. So maybe something for Harley to consider. And you know, they can listen to me. They can or they can't. But what I will say is that this could afford to be maybe up higher, maybe on a different iteration of the Sportster. And one that I would consider is if you put a fairing up here, and then the fairing could be up. The gauge could be up a little bit higher, because as it is, it required me to dip my head to see it, and you know, it's just something in regards to safety, in regards to the bike design, something that they might be interested in hearing if they're listening. All right, and like I had mentioned previously on my Sportster S ride, this bike is just so much fun. Easy to whip around. You know, we're talking about I think it's just sub 500 range, or just above 500. We're hovering around 500 pounds. This bike does not feel like all of that. It's got a real low center of gravity. Again, if I hadn't already, I'll put the seat height up here, and if I have already, I'll put the ground clearance here as well. And just again, gotta say it again, so much fun. Actually, I've gotten a lot of feedback too, talking to other riders out here that have been on the Sportster S, and I haven't heard a single negative. I haven't heard a single negative feedback from anyone who's ridden it. They all love it. They all think it's fun. They all thought it was way sportier than they were expecting. But yeah, nothing but positive feedback on the Sportster S. You know, I've got nothing but good things to say about it. I love the look. I love the speed. I love the handling. It's comfortable. It's actually more comfortable than I thought, especially with this riding position. I would say if you've ridden a V-Rod, if you've ridden like an old school Fat Bob with forward controls and handlebars that are a little bit lower, you're gonna get have a similar feel. I had an Iron 883 that had drag bars and forward controls, and this feels pretty similar to that. I don't know if anyone's gonna even know or have an idea what I'm talking about, but yeah, not a terribly uncomfortable riding position. And again, if someone's considering the Sportster S, we're not looking at a touring bike anyway. We're not. All right. So plenty of power off the line with this bike. I mean, Harleys are great for low-end torque, but this bike has torque to spare even in the higher rev range, at least from what I could remember yesterday. I mean, surprisingly quick off the line, surprisingly quick in the higher RPM rev range. I mean, I sound like a Sportster or a Harley fanboy, but I mean, I really I am super impressed with the introduction of the Sportster S into the Harley lineup. It's just something that needs to be said, in my opinion, because as somebody who was skeptical about it when I first heard about it, and when I say skeptical, what I'm talking about is how people's reaction to it. You know, I got a lot of feedback from the video that I posted on my reaction to the Sportster S about how it's not a Sportster and blah blah blah, and you know, leave all that junk and all those features to European and Japanese bikes. And I just all of that I don't understand. So if you're watching this and you're here to hate on the Sportster S, that's not what I'm here to do. And even if I was skeptical, there's just no way after riding this bike that I would feel any differently about it. I mean, the one thing obviously that people are going to say when you hear this test ride and when you listen to it is, you know, it doesn't sound like a Harley. And because we're talking about the 1250 Revolution Max engine, they call it the 1250T. I'm sure because it's been tuned differently than the 1250 Revolution that's on the Pan America. So this one's I mean, there's no comparison. This bike does not have the same feel at all to the Pan America as far as the power band is concerned, and it is a completely different. So if you rode the Pan America and you're thinking, oh, I've ridden a bike with the 1250 Revolution Max engine, you don't need to ride the Sportster S. You need to try the Sportster S. Trust me, you're not going to regret it. And that late clutch engagement is rough because you know, it almost feels like you're going to kill it. So yeah, that's something I would make an adjustment to the clutch here if we could, because it's just too late, and the friction zone is too late in the release. You know, you're either going to end up surging forward off the line, or you're going to end up killing it. Those are not two things I want to choose between. Here we go. We test it out here. Oh yeah, that is fun. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna say. Here's what I'm gonna say about the forward controls, because if you've watched the mid control video, then you know how I feel about the Sportster S, and I've definitely gushed about it here again this time around. What I will say is, as you take off, you know, this bike gets on it, and it gets on it quick. With the forward controls here, I did feel, and even with the seat having the material that holds you, you know, decently in place, it doesn't, not like a sport bike seat where you've got that real grippy material. This feels like a synthetic leather a little bit. So what ended up happening was I felt like I was sliding back in the seat, and that's just not a, that's not a feeling that I want to have when I'm riding a sporty bike. I want to feel locked in, and if I'm about feeling like I'm going to slide back, I want me to feel like that seat is holding me in place, and that was not the case. We're coming to the end of this ride. If you have any questions about the Sportster S that I can answer for you, make sure you leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. And if I can't answer them, I'm sure that somebody in the comments will be able to answer that for you. If you liked this video, you found it helpful, make sure you hit that thumbs up down there, which is the like button. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. We're doing lots of test rides, and there's lots to see, lots to do. Guys, if you're out there riding, please be safe. Be kind to one another. My name is Eric. This is the Sportster S, and I am out.